to date,
with people,
affirm
that is a
the
red
real.
flag for me.
Our live
I don't do anything
podcast
with people
talking
that
about
can't
today's
identify.
relationships
Can you judge
and its
everything I
effects
do?
on us
You
all.
got something to say about me?
Please welcome our hosts,
You're not my
Keya
friend.
McClain, the poet, and Shimeka, the dog therapist. Let's get real.
Yay! That's the sound of the clap. The crowd goes wild, and the crowd goes wild.
Wild, wild, wild. What up, y'all?
Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Date Affirm the Real, where real love, real growth, and real healing are always the vibe.
Boom. Boom.
And we're
So-
gonna.
I'm Keya McClain, the poet.
I'm about to say, right? You didn't put that introduction right.
And you know the introduction. You don't need that. And now people don't need to know you reading off no paper.
Okay, I gotta tell y'all, Keya trying to make me lead tonight, and so I'm gonna do what my kids used to do when I had them wash dishes. I'll break the dishes. I'm gonna break the dishes tonight. So don't be like, Shimeka a little slow today. That's because I want Keya to ask me no more. Shimeka a little slow today. What is wrong? She gave me some notes and stuff. I'm gonna be like, welcome to Affirm the Real.
She just want me to take over, y'all. Nope, you doing this. You doing this.
Her later.
Okay, y'all. Y'all know what it means when you see this, right? So we're gonna turn the hourglass.
Those are the days of our lives.
And get this podcast started.
Let's get it started. Oh, and she know I be distracted. Oh, she be getting on my nerves. Oh, you got on my nerves.
I love you.
Okay, I love you too. Okay, so welcome to. I already said the welcome. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Just playing, I already did it. So tonight's topic is love off the script. Love off script. Love off script, right? Because some of us have been living relationships that were never really ours to begin with. Let me say that again. Because some of us have been living in relationships that were never really ours to begin with. So me and Keya, so we were having this conversation. I don't even know what started the conversation. Like, what was it?
Just our normal conversations.
Right. And I feel like sometimes there's a theme that goes on. Like when I have therapy, it's so interesting when we have like conversations. Usually it'll be a theme of that for the week in my sessions. And so
Alignment.
and how we got to this was because of societal ideas and norms, societal norms and societal ideas, and what they've told us how we're supposed to be in relationships and have relationships. So have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I loving from my heart or from a script someone or society handed us?
That's a good question. Are we living our lives or are we living society lives?
Right. And we always talk about living our authentic self. But how do you know when you're living your authentic self?
Mm-hmm.
And so I also, okay, because I'll get off topic.
Well, so let's kind of touch on that for a minute and then we'll move on to the next point. And the question that you asked is a good question to pose to the audience for them to consider and to talk and break down what authentic self looks like.
Right.
So how do you determine what your authentic self is? Now, y'all know I'm the journal prompt girl. So I've even had to do this for myself along the way. Like when I feel it's storming good in Dallas.
I like
when I feel off, I tend to ask myself questions like, what's happening here, Keya? Why are you feeling this way? then I start to examine like places I'm going, the people that I'm connecting with, and then I start to keep a record of what I'm feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that record is letting me know how I feel. And if I feel like I'm holding something back,
Mm.
I'm not being authentic to myself, right?
Right. Right.
And we kind of talked about that earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are moments where I'm around people where I let them say what they need to say about their belief, their acceptance of certain things, and I don't say anything, not necessarily being inauthentic, but because I don't necessarily feel the need to go back and forth with people sometimes about
Mm-hmm.
differences in where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that does, and I've noticed lately, that does make me feel disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
which means that there's probably going to be a shift in how I move with certain people because I don't feel authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Because no, I don't want to argue and go back and forth, but I should be able to say whatever it is that I need to say, right? Like,
Right.
I feel like you're imposing your beliefs upon me.
Right.
That's not my belief, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I say that to certain people. I just know certain people can't handle that. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So again, I feel like being authentic is when you don't feel, uh-oh,
What happened?
uh-oh.
Storm? What did it do?
Did you see it blank out?
I didn't.
Oh,
I
okay.
blinked. I must have blinked at the same time.
Okay, good.
Like,
It was so fast.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I must have blinked at the same time.
Good. So, but I can always tell when I'm not being authentic because I just don't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where you have to like tap into yourself and stop just going like a robot.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I was gonna say because again, like I said, this has been a theme in my sessions, and so you know, identifying who you are without the so if you're like I said earlier, I don't know if I said earlier when me and my cousin was talking, and I was like, who are you without religion? If your parents if your parents didn't have no say so, right? If it wasn't for your parents, religion, societal norms, your husband, your children, who would you be?
Mm-hmm.
We carry or wife. We carry so many different roles that we tend to lose ourselves. So who are you without all of that? Who are you without all of that? If you didn't have religion and it was just you, if you didn't have your parents and it was just you, if you didn't have your husband, wife, children, who would you be? Who would you be? And what would you choose for yourself? What would you choose for yourself?
I think sometimes maybe people struggle with getting to that space, right? Because you have to start to remove things to become who you really are.
Yes.
And that removal of things can be uncomfortable for people.
Ooh.
It can cause fear, right?
Right.
Because that's something that you've had. It's like the Linus blanket that you carry around. And the Linus blanket is what's included with the Linus blanket is your religion, your beliefs, what your parents told you, what your friends said, what the media has said even. I mean, people don't realize how much they're affected by the media.
Right.
What somebody else is doing, your neighbor's got, what this person does. And you could literally have 10 to 15 different variations of things that contribute to your thought process, to your belief system, to how you move in life. Think about it. Some people wear certain clothes based off of what the society deems as that's what you should wear. Some people wear certain shoes based on what society thinks you should wear, or puts their hair in a certain style based on society.
Right.
All of those things, and so now we're talking about relationship stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're choosing a partner based on how your mother chose a partner, based
Mm.
on how your father chose a partner.
Mm. Based on how your parents treated you.
Hmm.
Hmm. Um, and like you and I like how you like you because you have to dissect all of that, right? You have to remove all of that. And so, like, what if it was okay? So, for instance, I remember in choosing a career, right? And in choosing a career path, um, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I don't think my parents are had any expectations or anything. But I remember I was like, oh, I got to make money,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I was like, oh, I could be a gynecologist. But because I was like, I can deliver babies. Okay, so realistically, I'm not going to school that long. Number one. Number two, I don't like math. So I have to be real honest with myself. I
Yeah.
don't like math. And initially I started just going to school. I just was like, let me just go to school and see what I'm doing. Because
Yeah.
you get your general stuff out the way anyway. But as I started to, I did like, and as I started going through my courses and everything, I identified that I've always been a therapist. Like I remember being a conflict counselor in elementary school. That was just something that I've always been. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been that. I've always been the one that people come and talk to. And so, like, if I didn't have, so if I had parents that said, you need to be a doctor because you need to make money because therapists don't make no money,
Yeah.
then what would I have chosen and would I have been happy?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm grateful that I've gotten to choose for me in that aspect, choose what career. Because I did try, I think because I tried to not do therapy, y'all. I really was trying not because I didn't want to take the test. But I wasn't happy. And so I had to make a decision for me. I was not happy. I was not
Yeah.
happy. Not happy at all until I took the test for licensure, passed, and then I started. Now I'm like, I love what I do. Like I love what I do, but I
Yeah.
know I also don't regret how I got here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I had to get certain things I did have to go through because I had to go through my healing to be the therapist I am now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't regret any of that. I don't be like, oh my gosh, I wasted time. I could have been. No, because I wouldn't have been a good therapist. I might have been on the back of the In Trouble book because I had no boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I find clients, I'm like, see, this is why I hate being therapist sometimes because I can't have you as my friend.
And see, for me, I had an opposite experience. Like my mother or my grandmother didn't tell me what I should be, but I knew that my grandmother had a very high expectation for me to excel in school and in my career. She would constantly talk about, I did all of this to set a great example, and you need to do this and you need to do that, right? And so there is that pressure of doing those things. And what I had to come later to a place of, I don't want to do none of this, and I throughout my young adult life, teens, 20s, I could always secure a really good job. That was never, ever, ever an issue. But I would not be happy. I didn't feel fulfilled.
Right.
So I wouldn't stay at these jobs, right? And so I would, and I got all the education, right? I got 3, damn near 4 college degrees. And that still never fulfilled me. I kept thinking if I get more, if I do more, she'll be more proud. She'll see me as accomplished. And ironically, it still was never really enough, right? So I was doing all of these things not for me. And it wasn't, I never ever heard about entrepreneurship. It never came up. Of course, when the people come to your school for career fair day and you're getting ready to go off to school, your last year of school, they have people that come up there with careers, not entrepreneurs. So, and I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, and I've always been the hardcore healing pin coach.
Right. Yeah.
To the core, because I've always delivered things in a very direct way.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to help people. I've always had a very big heart, caring heart, but my delivery was always different.
Right.
And those who knew, right? They'd
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Well, I needed that cussing out kid. Like that's what's gonna make me get my shit together."
All right.
So I knew I had a specific audience, a specific
Mm-hmm.
people that wanted to receive my messaging,
Right.
but I didn't know what it was. I had to go through all these different variations of
Mm-hmm.
myself
Mm-hmm.
in order to get here. Now, why is that important as it relates to relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did the same thing in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and many of us do. So, thank y'all for listening to us go through all of that to get to this point. We
Mm-hmm.
use that as an example
Right.
because if you start to dissect every area of your life, you'll see a lot of what you've
Mm.
done in life and accomplished, or the road that you've traveled hasn't even been yours
Right.
if you sit down and really think about it.
Yeah. I know. And
Hey, Skillet.
Chevalier. Hey. mm, um, and it's even identifying the scripts that we've been handed, right? So society teaches us that marriage is the goal. That marriage is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be doing. In fact, they even tell you that you're not supposed to be getting married, but you as a woman are supposed to have kids. This is what your job is because you got the stuff to do it. So it's your job to have a kid. You can't choose different. Right? So most of us still dealing with unhealed stuff, start raising kids and then create other kids that have unhealed stuff. Right? Because we're trying to follow what society wants us to, because, and I've mentioned this before, but like historically is that women couldn't even own anything unless they were married, so,
and what does that create, right?
Right.
It creates, there are people that won't go around family at holidays because they're tired of the family asking them, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to come with the man? The stress, the pressure, the anxiety that comes along with that is society will push all of these things on. I mean, they are pushing it on you, whether you believe it.
Disney, love stories, Lifetime. Like it's constantly, now things are different because even Disney's changed with their movies. It's not about like, oh, the prince saves you anymore.
Yeah.
But that's still there. We're still looking for our prince. And the one.
Which in turn, the women who are okay with being single, the men who are okay with being single feel pressured. Then they get into relationships they're not ready for, they're not healthy for, and that they're not prepared for.
Right.
Which leads to dysfunction, right? And so society would much rather you be dysfunctional. Babe, can you put the comments up, please? Put the comments up, please. Yeah. The society would rather you be difficult through your dysfunction than actually just be single, be happy, do what you want to do, and be okay with that.
Choosing your path for your life. With no judgment. And that's the thing is that, and then, society, again, like you said, family reinforces that when you're going to get married, when you're going to have grandchildren. As soon as you get married, they ask for grandchildren. Like, slow down, relax.
Or think about this. And we're going to hit some nerves on this one, okay? So and I should have gave this disclaimer at the beginning. If you are sensitive to other people's thoughts, opinions, experiences, just click off. Just click off. Because this is just dialogue about how we have experienced life and what we have seen through our own healing. And when you begin to heal, you begin to break down things that were instilled in you that don't align with the healed version of you. And that may be things that you feel very, very strongly about. That could be religion. That could be the way your family functions and does things that you've been defending and okaying all of these years. It could be the fact that you don't want to you don't want to be in a relationship that looks cookie cutter like everybody else. You don't want the house and the picket fence and the kids and the dog.
Right.
And that's okay. And we need to stop pushing off what we think other people should do in living their lives. People should do what makes them happy.
Right.
We have to keep our judgment and our opinions to ourselves because it's not your life. If somebody is over there, and that even goes to people who want to live a different lifestyle and have several boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, same-sex relationships, it's none of your damn business. I don't see how society gets so enthralled in other people's personal business, things that happen inside their homes that make them happy, that's fulfilling for them. Society has taught you that if they don't do what everybody else, and I'm surprised that people are okay with moving like robots. I'm surprised about that, but that's where we are. I think differently. I think differently. Yeah. So, and I see that now through my healing. I didn't see that before. I was cookie cutter before. I did everything other people did all the time, but I think for myself, right? I make decisions that don't look like other people's decisions. Why? Healing will do that for you. You're not trying to please people. You're not trying to do things according to what you feel other people want you to do. And when you do that, society will shun you. Society will talk about you. People talk about me all the time because if something doesn't feel good for me, I remove myself from it because I'm not concerned with what society views as mean or acceptable or whatever. I make decisions based on what is good for me. It may even be good for you, but you don't see it that way because society has taught us if I meet this person, I should stay connected to them for the rest of my life.
Yes.
If this family member is a pedophile, I should still take my kids over there. I should still go to family reunions when 17 aunts and 3 cousins talk about me the entire time.
Right.
And when you get into relationships with people based on all of these variations of toxicity, you're bringing all of that stuff into those relationships and you're wondering why you're unhappy, why you're dissatisfied, why there's all this dysfunction, because you're not living your life. You living your mama life and your grandmama life.
Right. And then you start looking towards the relationship to satisfy and make you happy. So because you not living your life, you want them to make sure you're giving them a job to make sure you happy. You don't even know what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And what makes you happy.
So I'm going to tell you about this really, really quick conversation yesterday I had with a couple of my girlfriends. So one of my girlfriends is single, happily single, right? And so the one girlfriend was like, you know, that man and such liked you, right? And so the friend that's single and happy was like, and I don't care. I'm happy being single, right? So the other friend was like, Keya, you need to get her. And I'm like, no, if she enjoys being single, let her enjoy being single. Who am I to impose upon what I think, what I feel, or what I'm doing onto her?
Yeah.
She is happily single, living her whole entire best ass life. I'm talking about traveling, kicking it, doing all the things. She happy, and I'm happy for her. Now, the other friend wants to be married, wants to be in a relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. It is okay to be different from people. You don't have to follow all of these trends. You don't have to do what other people are doing.
Right.
Like, it is okay to say, okay, this is the type of relationship that I would like. Have you heard somebody say, and trust me, there are people like this, but stay with me. Have you heard somebody say, yeah, they just too picky. That's why they single. Have you heard that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But what if they're not too picky?
Right.
What if they have certain desires that they want fulfilled?
And that's okay.
And until those things are fulfilled, they're okay with being single.
That's okay.
We attack single people a lot. And we don't realize how damaging that can be to them,
Mhm.
because that's a decision that they made and they're okay with it.
Right.
And you keep imparting your thoughts and how you live in your life, and guess what? You ain't even happy, but you're trying to tell somebody else to be in a damn relationship or get
Man.
married. You ain't
No.
even happy. But that's the proof that you're not living your
Right.
own life. How many people have you've been
Hmm.
single for years? How many people have given you their thoughts, their judgments, and their opinions about your
Hmm.
single life?
Hmm. You need to go outside. You need to
How
go.
many
What
people?
is you need to go come with me and I'll help you. No, thank you. That's okay. It's okay.
But let's talk about the emotion that you feel by that. What emotion do you feel when people project onto
Mm.
you? Because let's talk about it. What emotion do you feel when people project
With
onto
that,
you what your relationship
yeah,
status should be?
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So Courtney said, that's been said about me, and I don't care. Too funny. I mean, people will, and okay, let's talk
Go
about
ahead.
this also. I was 18 years old when I got pregnant.
Mm.
So y'all gonna get married now? Nope. I have no desire to marry that man. What? You getting ready to have a baby out of wedlock? I had sex without wedlock, with not being
Right.
married, didn't I? So again, you can have whatever belief you want. I don't care. It really
Right.
makes no difference to me
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever. What matters to me is that we are pushing our beliefs and our thoughts and our opinions and our judgments down people's throat. And you don't realize the significant impact that
Mm-hmm.
has on people.
And what you create when you do that too. What you know, it's like what do you create for them, right? Like if we create our own, if we're creating our own paths of life, right? If and so if
Mm-hmm.
we're speaking over somebody else's life, something that's not for them, then what are you creating for them, right? You know, it's you're not creating a peaceful, you're not creating them confidence in them. You're not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you're causing them to have, you know, conflictual issues in them in themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And without even realizing it, you can be a strong-willed person, but at some point, it still
yeah.
affects a very strong-willed person. Like I've always been a strong-willed person, and it did bother me. It didn't change shit. I still
Mhm.
did what I did, but it bothered me in a way that I removed
Mhm.
myself from being around as much. I I didn't want to be around people who I knew would say
Or say
triggering
right.
things to me.
I remember when I was pregnant, since when you were talking about being 18, I remember I was pregnant and I wasn't married. You know, I was single. I was, you know, and I remember I was supposed to be going to a work pick. My cousin, my play cousin, her mother was having a work part, whatever, at Knott's Berry Farm or something. And she was inviting me. And her mother she told her, don't invite me because I wasn't married. And I did feel
Mhm.
like that was the only time I felt like, wow,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
That's a
even
low
and
fucking blow.
even though these people were saying something, this person was saying something, and they that wasn't their life at all. That wasn't their life, but it was the judgment on me.
So here's what I'm going to say about that, and then we're going to go over Courtney's comments. What I have to say about that is, in all actuality, in all honesty, Christians have been the meanest people to
Mhm.
me, and I've been a Christian. So Christians have been the meanest, nastiest people to me to date, and I stand on that. So you can go around and you can say all of these things. You can be a part of something and still not be of that thing. You
Right, right.
understand what I'm saying? You can be a part. I can be a part of I can be a part of an association or organization And I can say, I represent this organization as such, right? But I could be stealing, embezzling. I can be doing all kind of stuff. And that's how I see some of the Christians. They show up, they got a cross on their neck, they know a couple of Bible verses, but they treat you like shit and they talk bad about you. Right? Is that somebody that I want to follow behind? Is that somebody that I want to make a contract with and practice those types of norms? No. And then you want me to meet somebody in that type of space and get in connection and relationship with and marry them. Is that somebody that you want me to be in connection and relationship and marry somebody that's in this building that does not practice this, does that not exemplify this, does not have that level of energy? Or come on now. We got to do better. We got to do better. And I'm calling it out. And again, what did I say? If you're uncomfortable, just hit the X. Okay. Click on off of here because I'm saying all the things. If you want to get in relationship or connection with anybody, whether it's relational, romantic relational, or friendship relational, you must understand that everybody is searching. Let's be clear. Everybody is searching. Nobody knows who they are. A lot of people are searching and trying to figure it out. You can claim to be on the Christian set, the Buddhism set, the Muslim set, whatever set you want to claim you own, you still searching. You don't know who you are. And you trying to figure it out. And because you're confused, you want to project your confusion onto other people. They can't even lead their lives and be in romantic connection with whoever they want to be with, or nobody at all, because y'all got something to say all the time. So let's address some of these comments. Some people don't want their significant others around.
You got to go down more. So she said, because they're worried about me. And then
the other person needs to come out of agreement with that. And that's why spirituality is important. Let them say what they want, but you don't have to agree with what's being said. Right. Some people don't want their significance around other single people. All people, not just Christians. Part of healing is not letting one experience determine the rest. So I think where we have to, Don said something.
It says, for me, it seems as if the elders in my family feel like they have the right to dictate what you should do with your life.
That right there. Pin that shit to the top. We're going to talk about the elders now. We're going to talk about the elders. Black elders specifically are so disrespectful and constantly scream they won't respect. Right? Oh, you better respect me. You better respect me. And how many people have taken their boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse around family members? And then you guys get home or on the ride home, they're like, so that was weird. Because they start to impose all of their beliefs, all of their thoughts. Y'all probably been hanging out 3 months, 6 months, don't know. But so when y'all getting married, so when you're having kids, those are the societal pressures that we're talking about. So now that's in your head. That's been implanted in your head, right? So you've gone to the family reunion. The family member said, oh, y'all look great together. When y'all gonna get married? When y'all gonna have kids? They don't know shit about y'all relationship. They seen y'all eat barbecue and laugh together. Go to Frisbee back and forth, have some drinks together. And they're asking you when you're going to get married. They don't say, is this a healthy connection for you? They don't say, is this something that you enjoy?
No,
they don't ask those type of questions. They don't care.
All they want is their expectation. That's all they want. They don't want to know about you. They don't want to know about what you like. They don't want to know nothing about that. That's not important.
They want you to look like them, because if you look like them, that makes them comfortable.
Exactly. And that's what they want, their comfort. Yes. Yeah, that's interesting, because that was I had a conversation regarding like emotional connection. And I
Mhm.
asked, like, what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? What does emotional connection mean? So
Mhm.
and so because I was like, there's certain people I don't have an emotional connection with. I'm cool with them and I get along with them, but I can tell when somebody's concerned about me and my needs,
Mhm.
and when they're concerned about their
Yeah.
own, and when they, and I know when to stop talking because I know they're not really listening to me when I start sharing stuff about me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Courtney said, I'm Christian and I know who I am and I've never been rude to you. Nope, because we wouldn't be connected, Courtney.
Like, and you're right.
I love you dearly, but I don't deal with that. It sounds like people need to think for themselves and not where.
But
Yeah, but
that's the,
here's
yeah, you
the
can say
thing.
that easily, right? But
We can
right,
say that easily, but let's look at
right,
society. And this is the thing, and we say this often. We use a lot of blanket statements, but we're not really looking at the
right.
full picture. The full picture is look at people. People are following society's norms. I've done it. I've been there. So and there are still some things that I'm still trying to
Mhm,
transition from. So there's still some things that I'm doing that's part of society's
mhm,
norm. So my point is look at this holistically. Look at
mhm,
how people are moving and what the conversations look like. If you as a single woman, and I'm gonna address the women first. If you as a single woman walk into a space, single, single, if you walk into a space single, there are going to be assumptions made about you,
mhm,
right? There's going to be projections made onto you
mhm,
because you are a single woman. The expectation is for you to be in relationship with somebody
mhm.
and then get married and then have children and then have the home and the picket fist and have a certain
Mhm.
type of career,
Yeah.
right? These are societal norms and expectations.
Right.
These are things that people automatically are going to, whether they say it to you or
Mhm.
they project it onto you.
Right. Yes.
This is the society norm. You don't
Right.
have to tell people your business for people
Right.
to
It's what?
witness it.
Yes.
They see
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
They're witnessing your life. They don't know every intricate detail of your life, but
Mhm.
they know certain details,
Right.
which puts them in position to judge,
Yeah.
which puts them in position to enforce their judgments, thoughts,
Mm.
opinions. That puts them in a position where they feel like I am the one in power
Hmm.
because not only am I older,
Hmm.
I feel like I've experienced more life. How many older people have said, I didn't experience more life than you? There's some older people, I wouldn't follow your fucking blueprint. There ain't shit I
No.
would do like you.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. Right.
I don't have a goal to live my life like anyone else.
Mhm.
And
Thank you.
I personally don't care, but I know a lot of people that do. A lot.
Right. Right.
A lot.
A lot of people. Yes. Yeah. And so it's difficult. It can be difficult to think for yourself when sometimes you don't know if you've already been brainwashed to think a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's difficult to do that. You be like, I'm going to think for myself. I'm going to do this. It's like watching. It's like each generation and teenagers, right? And the teenager always be like, I want to be my own individual self. And guess what they're doing? Following the other teens. They all look
Yeah.
alike.
Yep.
I was there. We all looked alike.
Yeah.
Right. And so you think you don't understand me with your parents. You don't understand me. I remember doing that. You don't understand me. I'm trying to be me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to be just like them.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to find where I fit in. And that's the issue. You're trying to find where you fit in. And what if you're not meant to fit in? What if you're meant? Go ahead. What you
No,
about
no,
to
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, what if you're not meant to fit in? What if you are meant to be a leader, and sometimes a leader walks alone for a minute?
Yeah. So that's what, when you started to say that, it made me think about two specific people. I was always, as a child, attracted to eclectic people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say eclectic, I mean people who completely look different than everybody else at school. right? They dressed different, they spoke
Mhm.
different, their hair was different, they had different colors. I
Mhm.
mean, they had their own style, their own thing. I would be enamored by these people because they did not care. Those are
Yes.
people that don't care.
Right.
Those are the real people
Right.
that don't care. When you
Right.
look cookie cutter, when you dress cookie cutter, your hair cookie cutter, you speak the same way, you believe the same things, you're cookie cutter.
Mhm.
But the people who I admired, who I
Mm.
wanted to pick their brains,
Challenged.
the Punky Brewsters,
Yeah,
right?
I love Punky
I
Brewster.
I used to watch Punky Brewster and be like,
I
this
want to be like
girl,
her. She's so
this
cool.
girl is so different.
Yeah,
And
I love Punky.
actually, certain things really kind of stir something up in us, right? Because
Mhm.
it it helps us to see we don't have to be cookie cutter.
Right.
And that's why I love those type of people, because they show you you don't have to follow
Man.
the leader. Think
Man.
about this too. I wasn't thinking about no boyfriend. When I was 12, 13 years, I honestly was not thinking about a boyfriend. You know, when the first moment I thought about a boyfriend, when they came up with the game, catch a girl, get a girl, and we were out there playing, right? And I'm watching a couple of the girls' responses to this. Again, I don't give a shit. I was a tomboy. I did not care.
Mhm.
So I'm watching them, and I'm going to tell you just how people slide into this without even recognizing that they're sliding into it. Because we're outside playing, we're having a good time. You see two of your friends, oh, she had a boyfriend. Oh, the boys are looking at her. They like her. The real me did not give a shit about
Mhm.
no boys. The real me. But because this is what I was around, this was my influence, I became concerned about boys when that wasn't the real authentic version of
Mhm.
who I was. This is how you know when you're being inauthentic, because it's like deep to your core, you're not even
Right.
connected with that. You don't even feel I didn't feel connected to no
Right.
boyfriend. The last thing I was thinking about at
Right.
12 or 13. I truly wanted to go outside, have fun, run around, play, and take my ass back
Right.
in the
Right.
house. But it turned into that because I felt like I
Yeah,
needed to fit in. We
we
all
all
do
do.
it. We've
They done
all done it.
studies
And we,
about
you
it. They
know,
done studies about fitting
yeah.
in. People in power and authority, and they start fitting like people. It's just innate in us, and we've been brainwashed so toughly. Again, we don't know when. We do know. I lie. We do know. We just don't pay attention. We don't pay attention. We do know
Yeah.
exactly when we're unhappy, when we're not.
We're lacking
Man,
awareness.
yeah. And so we tend to do that in relationships because, again, we're following what society is telling us to do, what we've been trained to
Mhm.
do, what we've been brainwashed to do and to follow. And include, and so you, there was another, what time is it?
Uh,
Oh,
8:14. We got
okay.
16 minutes.
Oh, well, I was going to say too, even gender roles are fixed. You know, you're the provider slash protector versus nurturer and supporter.
Mhm.
Men aren't supposed to be emotional, and women are too emotional. You know,
Mm.
and which is it. Okay, first of all, that comment right there always gets me because men are the most emotional creatures I know. They're the most emotional creatures I know.
Ain't they?
And they think
Ain't
that
they?
anger is not an emotion.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
emotion, but actually it's the emotion you just want to show when you get your feelings hurt, or they're
Mhm.
very emotional. And that's why we have to be, as women, have to be aware. And when we tell, when we reject them, because they become emotional and become angry because they were embarrassed, because they got their feelings hurt, they
Mhm.
felt rejected. So they're emotional. It's just they only show anger because all that other stuff is too hard for them to show. But we as women, we're able to do that. We're able to communicate and articulate our feelings and emotions. So we're considered too emotional, but we're actually emotionally intelligent. That's what that means.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. But it's their ego,
mm,
right? So when you lead with your
mm,
ego, and some ego
mhm,
is good, to be clear. Like, but when you're leading with your ego, having to be stroked and having to feel good, and it turns into you getting angry. I've been seeing a lot of videos of women posting about men getting upset about being turned down. It's a man that did a video on TikTok, and he says, I've been taking a break, because God led me to take this break, and I've been in silence. And I went to the grocery store, and what's up with black women not speaking to you in the grocery store? They've been eating his ass. They've been eating his ass because the expectation that we have to give you any energy is exhausting. It's exhausting, man. We don't have to give y'all attention. We don't have to center you all. We don't have to do that. Like even that phrase triggers men. We're not centering men the way that we used to, not all women. And so men feel so emotional about that comment. What do you mean you're not centering men? It means that I have an individual life. I look at myself as an individual and live as an individual. I don't have to lead my life thinking about a man. And people say, oh, well, what about the married women? Married women still don't have to center a man. I still have a life. He has a life.
Yes.
What does societal norm say?
I don't have independence. That's what societal norms say. I don't have independent anything. My husband goes first. My children goes first. Everybody goes first. And
now that's good, because a lot of the clients that I work with that are, around my age, they all have said to me, about 90% of them have said, I don't know who I am, because I've always just been a wife and a mother. Do you know how dangerous that is? I don't think we understand how dangerous it is when you say somebody else is your life. That's another societal norm.
The expectation.
It is
for you to focus on everybody else but you.
She said, I just told somebody I don't have time for that right now. I got rushed off the phone and I was so glad. Look, I feel like we've adopted so many things that don't belong to us, right? And this is a moment to reflect and understand. Is this a foster or did I do a full-term adoption? I may be fostering these thoughts, these ideas that don't belong to me. And then some of them I've adopted as mine. Look, if some of those things feel like they're yours, embrace it. Take it on. We're not saying everything that you learn. All I'm saying is make sure it's yours. Right, cousin? Make sure it's yours.
Make sure this is what you and again, but that's because you have to be self-aware. You have to check in with yourself. Okay, is this something I'm choosing for myself, or is it something that somebody's told me I'm supposed to be like? I'm supposed to like this. I'm supposed to enjoy this. But do I enjoy this?
Yeah.
I like, what's pretty? Silk tops, but then I don't like wearing them. I'm not gonna wear them then. So but that's about, and I'm saying, silk top, because again, it's identifying, because that's a part of identifying who you are, what you want and what you don't want. And what's comfortable for you and what's not comfortable for you. And I think, again, we've been taught that we are not supposed to be comfortable in this life. But why we here? We're here. And what's interesting, because I look outside and I'm like, it's so beautiful. Well, you guys, it's probably beautiful still with the rain and everything. It stopped, though. I don't hear the thunder.
Yeah, it stopped.
And I look outside, like we have the sun setting, right? We have the birds chirping, flying around, chirp, 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 right? You got the woodpeckers and they have no care in the world. And they're enjoying who they are, who they are. We can't, but we don't, as humans, can't. We got to be miserable.
And okay, Okay. The other thing that I did want to talk about is
Which is
the way that women have been taught to endure abuse, and not just physical abuse, right? This is something that's been handed down through societal norms again, right? And if we really just take a moment to look at these things, we'll see how much influence society is impacting
right.
people's lives. It may not be impacting your life individually, but it's impacting a lot of
Right.
people's lives. Really. And there's why there's a need for shelters for abused women. That's why there's a need for more burial plots, because men are killing these
Right.
women because they don't get what they want. They're narcissistic, they're controlling, they're all of these things. But we would much rather, how many women have been told by their mother, that's a good man, he got a job, and if he put his hands on you, then you probably should just step back and not say much. That's a societal norm
Right.
thing. This isn't about people not understanding certain things. This is about people following a pattern, right? If your mother got beat and her mother got beat, and you saw that and that looks normal to you, you have a higher chance of getting in a abusive relationship, physically, mentally, or emotionally. All of those are abuse. They don't have to just hit you to abuse you, but you will let a man talk down to you, treat you bad, all of that, because it's a societal norm. Well, you got a man in the house, he taking care of you, he paying them bills. How many, I know when I was coming up, there were men in my life that had several homes.
What do you mean?
Several families.
Wow.
And that was acceptable. Long as he come pay these bills over here, it's okay. It's all good. That's a societal norm that we have placed upon women. I can't speak much to the men because I'm not a man. I haven't had those experiences, even though I've seen some of those things. But just as a woman alone, there's a lot of bullshit that's going on still to this day, that women are enduring things because your family, your pastor, your cousin, your mama, your grandmama told you, just hang on in there. Just what's the movie? Waiting to Exhale. What did her mother tell her when she called?
He's a good man.
But that's not a movie. That's
Savannah,
real
he's
life.
a good man. He was still married. He's a good man. He's a good man. How she do her lips? He's a good man, Savannah.
Now, here's my question. Here's my question to you, cousin. If your mother told you, and you didn't know no better, right? Just from the start, your mother told you, as long as he a good man and he married, that's
he
okay.
about to get a divorce.
He gonna get a divorce. But even if he don't get a divorce, he a good man. He know how to treat you. He wine and dine you. You should stay with that man. I can't see me telling my child that. And I don't have a daughter, but there's no part of me that would tell my child to endure that. But that's your own mother. That's how many mothers are telling their children to endure societal norms. And it doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense to a hell of a lot of people. Because they're doing it, right? The proof is in the numbers.
Divorce. That's why, Keya. You're not supposed to divorce. You're not supposed to divorce. You're supposed to just pray about it and act like and believe it to be okay until it's okay. Keya, no divorce. What? No, that's not. No, you can't leave. You cannot leave. Woman, you cannot leave your husband even though he ain't shit.
Now, we just gave at least 10 examples. At least 10 examples of how societal norms are truly, truly penetrating the society, and people are not happy. People are walking around disgruntled, unhappy, abused. I mean, all of these, and then they have the nerve to raise children. So my point is, again, we need to take a moment to sit back and reflect on our own lives, not look and point at nobody else, not consider anybody else. Look at your own shit. Where do you stand in your core belief, and what resonates with you? What feels good for you? What doesn't? It is okay to, what do I always say? Eat the fish and throw the bones away. It is okay that you got a new piece of fish now, and I'm going to eat what really feels good for me, and I'm going to throw away something that I believed in, or that I've seen is okay for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. I'm going to concentrate on what feels authentic to me and what feels real to me.
Now, it might be a little uncomfortable when you do that.
Ooh, go ahead. Talk about that part.
Because you're changing. It's like you're rewiring years, depending on how old you are, years of programming. And so when you start rewiring, you're going to have to identify, but when you start saying, I don't know, this is not who I want to be. Then you have to say, okay, now you have to immediately go to, but who am I? What do I choose? What is it that I do believe? So then you can start building who you are. And it's still going to change as you get older. Things are still going to change.
Yeah.
But it's about being aware of how you feel in different scenarios. I used to sit in church, and I remember certain scriptures would make me be like, that is not God. That is not God. No, but that's not God.
Don't even feel right.
Feel heavy. And man, I learned this, and I love it.
Talk about that.
When I learned this, right? Heavy and light. What's truth makes you feel lighter, and a lie makes you feel heavier. So when you think about when somebody's lying to you, we innately know. And it's always funny. Okay, I'm gonna jump. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna jump back. But when women be like, I just gotta know, I just gotta see it, I just gotta see it.
Yeah.
See if he's cheating. You really don't have to see, because you can say, you know what?
Yeah.
This really, but then also some people are delusional, like, you cheating, and they start creating stuff too. So, and so knowing what's the truth makes you feel lighter, and what makes you feel heavy is a lie. And so there's certain things that when people, like, again, when people are speaking, I'm checking in with myself. Okay, does this feel light? Sometimes I get chills, and I'd be like, oh, that's it right there. You'd be like, yeah, you're like, yes. And then some stuff I'd be like, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I love that light and heavy, because, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually forgot about that. The light and heavy is good, because especially if you're honest with yourself about it, right? Because some of us we're not honest about that. If something feels, and this comes like in relationships with me in the past, I know that if I had that question to ask, I would have definitely made different decisions in relationships and friendships and connections. If something feels heavy, and when it feels heavy,
the difference.
Know when it feels heavy. When something feels heavy, I'm obedient to it, and I remove myself from situations that feel heavy for me. I know what feels heavy for me. What feels heavy for me might feel light for you.
Yes.
You need to worry about you. Right? Worry about you and what makes you feel light. If that makes you feel light, do that. If it feels heavy for me, don't worry about me. Worry about yourself, because
this is your journey.
The consequence of worrying about other people and how they move and how they do this and how they do that is you not following through on your own personal journey, because you got your own shit to work through. Why you worry about somebody else stuff that they
Right.
working through. Worry about what journey you have to work through, because we all individually have stuff that we need to work
Yes.
through,
Yes.
right? And what did I say in the beginning? This is a personal journey. We're not trying to tell you what to think, how to believe, who to believe. What we're saying is make sure whatever it is that you believe, whatever it is that you feel aligned with, that you're doing. And when you get into relationship with people, if you're following your mama, your grandmama, your cousin, them, it may not be the healthiest thing for you. That's okay. It's okay to say, let me unlearn some of the things that I've learned, detach from that, so that I can because you don't just find yourself like that. You don't just discover yourself like that. That take work. You may have to step back from a lot of things. That's what I had when I started my journey. I had to disappear. I mean, disappear. I don't mean pop out sometimes. I mean straight disappear. Nobody saw me, heard from me, knew what was going on in my life. That's because I was so wired with so many different things. In order, remember when you reboot, think about when you reboot your computer. What pops up there? Time remaining, an hour and 47 minutes. Right? It say like an hour and 47 minutes time remaining to reboot. So if it's going to take an hour and 47 minutes to reboot a computer.
Right.
A computer.
We've been programmed. We have been.
I'm talking about a computer. A computer is going to take an hour and 47 minutes to reboot. What do you think? How long do you think it's going to take you to reboot? How long do you think it's going to take you to unlearn and enter in a new program of what feels authentic for you, what feels real for you, what feels happy and peaceful and joyous for you? That's going to take some time, because guess what? If you stay connected to all of these things, social media, talking to people, going here, going there, if you do all of those things, it's going to disrupt your program. What does it say when you reboot? What does it say? Don't touch it.
Don't just let me reboot.
It says don't
let
touch
me reboot. It. Do not exit the program. Do not delete. Just sit and leave it alone. Sit down.
Sit down. Sit down. And think about this. And I don't know if you recall the year that you started this journey, cousin. I started my journey in end of 2014. It's 2025. Like I deeply got entrenched in this at the end of 2014. It's 11 years later. I'm still fucking rebooting.
Man.
That's why I tell people, you can tell me all day long, I'm healed, I got it figured out. No, you don't. This is some work.
Right.
This some work.
It's still stuff.
This shit is heavy.
Still stuff. I'll be like, girl.
How I go back there?
Again.
How I do that again? And we 50. And we 50. That's why we look good, girl. That's why I love to talk to younger people, because I'm like, you have an opportunity to get this figured out before you get 50. Because when you get here, the climb gets steeper and steeper. So it's best to try to figure out. That's why I love hanging out with my little cousin and my goddaughter, because they are so open to be like, okay. They'd be like, okay, Keya, what right. Listen, because you told us about the mistakes you made.
To receive.
They're ready to receive at all times, because they've heard the stories, the horror story, because I don't have shame attached to my stuff, right? There's no shame attached to it. So I can openly and freely share these things with them, so they don't go down that path. Because I don't want you to make decisions and get in relation with a man or whomever you choose and feel like I need for this to look
Yes.
like what my mother did.
Yes.
I need for this. And lastly, what I want to share, because we've already went over 5 minutes. The last thing I want to share is I've been married twice before my current marriage. One of the things that people said to me, I'll never forget this, especially after my first marriage. And I was in the church, and my first ex-husband and people were like, I just can't believe you getting a divorce. That's going to just send you to hell. And I said, I'm going to tell you something. There is no place that you can send me, because I refuse to be in any connection with anybody that is not real for me. This ain't real for me. I remove myself from that. I honor myself. Nobody taught me that.
No, because we should honor everybody else.
Because what I'm gonna tell you what they did teach me. They taught me I wasn't in love with my first husband, and I told people that. And you know what they told me? You grow to love him. Societal norms.
Instead of teaching.
That's a good one. Instead of teaching me to love myself, remove myself from a situation that was not good for me. Right? And people will impart onto you, instead of wisdom, they will impart and project onto you their fears and their own individual life path, because they want you to fuck up like they did.
I don't want to be a fuck up myself. I want to be a fuck up myself. I want you with me.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So that's it, y'all. That's it. That's the conversation. So hopefully this was helpful. What do I always say? Eat the fish and throw the bones away. So take what was helpful for you. What wasn't, release it, let it go. But at the end of the day, I think it's about you, whoever you are out there that's listening, that's watching. It's about you connecting with you, so that you feel like whatever decision you make is your decision, not a decision somebody else told you to make, not a decision that you're making because you feel like it's going to have other people look at you a certain way. Do what feels right and good for you. Okay. So we look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday, where the gentlemen will be in the room. All right. So make sure y'all show up next Tuesday at, 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. Peace.
Mwah.
Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees inside of me.